Good morning. It's
Good
so
morning.
wonderful to be speaking with Kristi Sullivan this morning, who is one of our contributing authors in The Great Pause, Blessings and Wisdom from COVID-19. Thank you for being with us today, Kristi.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so happy to be talking to you too.
So Kristi, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, about your family, the work you do, all of that good stuff?
Sure, I'm a native of Connecticut, born and raised, and I live in West Hartford and love New England. And what I'm doing right now is I'm on a mission to guide and motivate women to give themselves permission to make self-care essential and a priority in their lives. I know so many of us are busy, and so I want to really give women the tools and connect them to resources and other folks who help with healing and any type of topic under the umbrella of self-care. And I myself teach yoga, so I have a monthly membership platform to help women with curating rituals for their self-care, and very customized rituals too. So I think it's great to work with women who want to not just survive but thrive in these times. And so that's really what I've been up to lately, and writing books.
Yes, you have. Oh, and I love I love the mission that you're on, because it's such a paradigm shift, really. I mean, a lot of us had to learn this, about that self-care is not this guilty pleasure or thing on the side. It's, how we can really thrive and be there for other people too, and for ourselves, right? It's so important. Yeah,
Yes, and I feel like I've been seeing that buzzword now, even in the news, and hearing the other day how even some of the TV stations want to be more proactive in helping people, how you help people with self-care, reducing stress, and all of that. So we've been doing this for a while, but now I feel like it's starting to really come up to be more top of mind, more of a priority, like I said.
And it's interesting that you are doing some work in helping people tailor their own self-care to things that will work for them. Is that something that, is there a challenge that you see when people are looking at creating their self-care routines, or what they're up to? Like what comes up, what shows up for folks?
Yeah, so I feel that many people think they need to fit into a box. Like, if you want to eat better, here's what you should do. If you want to exercise, do 30 minutes a day. And I've been doing some self-study training in something called human design, which is a system where you look at your energetic blueprint. And we could talk about that on a whole other session. But essentially, I feel that self-care for me helped me get into my body out of the head. And in human design, the head is not really meant to be solving things. It's the inner wisdom, the body wisdom, the soul wisdom. And so to do that, like self-care, being active in the body, self-care, whether it's journaling, knitting, or walking or exercising, things like that. And so it's very customized, because what I like to do may not be what you like to do. So it's not about certain, again, box to fit people into, because you have to understand your energy, your blueprint, and what really you need on not only a daily basis, but over the long term, to really just be in alignment with your energy. And that just brings a lot of things into your life in a better way, a lot of manifesting. And so that's sort of the direction I go, by customizing it. It's for each person.
Oh, I love that, because it's what a gift to give to someone, because I think a lot of people haven't really experienced what that's even like. Like, that's a whole new approach to living that a lot of folks I don't think have ever had access to. That must be lovely to witness with people.
Yeah, and people often most people will say, I've never heard of human design. What are you talking about? And like I said, I call it the rabbit hole. It's a whole like conversation, and I studied it for about 2 years. But in general, it's just meant to show that things like, even like business and marketing, where you're told this is the formula you follow to be successful, doesn't always work for everybody the same. So how do you adjust it so that you're following a process, but one that works for you? And you know, bringing it to the theme of your book, this is the time for us to pause and begin to really look inward at who are we? How do I operate? What is important to me? And to start to shift things in our life that are in alignment with who we really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with this great pause, right? We all learn different things during this time. We all had different experiences during this time. What was the experience like for you?
Well, I write about this in my book, and it was really interesting timing. The beginning of the year, I found out I was going to be parting ways with a career that I've had, a long time career, a job for 20 years. And so it was like family to me. So it was going to be a real interesting time for me in the 6 months between January and June. And right after I found out the news, not too soon after, we had the virus come here to the US, and the isolation and the quarantine. And, you know, it was a time for me anyway of transition, but it also helped me. I was going to say forced, because I think some people think of that isolation as being forced, not what they wanted, but it helped me, again, slow down and be still, be in my home where I could work on myself, start taking away distractions like busyness. And, you know, I enjoy being social. I'm an extrovert. So going places, seeing people, that really does feed me. But at the same time, this period, I know it's not going to be forever, but it helped me to experience slowing down, which was really important. And I think that helped me during this time, which I, again, was facing a big transition in my career, a good transition, because now I'm doing something that I truly love, and it can help others with self-care. And so that's really what I experienced, was a very unique kind of way and way to perceive what was happening. So I wasn't freaking out or being full of fear.
Right. And during this time, you were also writing, right? So you're writing for our collaboration, but you also are publishing within another collaboration. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. And it was really interesting. 2 opportunities came up. Yours came up first. And then shortly after that, another opportunity to be part of a collaborative book. So I wrote a chapter. That second opportunity, the book is already out, and the Great Pause is coming up shortly. So they both are around the theme of self-care. A little side note that I really haven't shared is that I signed up to also do a speaking program. It's called Her Podium. It's sort of like a Toastmasters, and it helps women with finding their voice. And I knew that I wanted to speak, whether it was in person one day or now through like webinars and workshops online. And so I started writing speeches for my homework assignments, and that evolved into sort of the books that I have now, or the chapters in the books. So it was really interesting how they kind of blended together. So I also want to give credit that I have a good friend, Robin Claire, who is also a writing coach like you, and she asked me in the beginning of the year to like work with her in this group to do sort of coaching for authors. And I said, I'm not an author. So when she said, no, I want you to be part of this. So it kind of started to open my mind, and then really open the floodgates to these opportunities. It was quite remarkable. That's another chapter I'll write about.
That's so cool. I love that, you know, you were saying yes to things that even you didn't know where that would lead to. That's so That's
Yeah.
so, it feels like divine. I love that.
And in human design, I'm what's called a generator. So I wait for opportunities, and when they come up and they feel right, I say yes. So that's what I
Yes,
did.
that's perfect. So what advice do you have for authors and people that are writing right now?
One of the things I think we're doing right now in this time, in this shift, is to be more collaborative.
Mm.
Even though we're isolated, still connecting with each other online, certainly, and limited in person, we need to be more collaborative to make those connections and to see success and alignment in our life. So I would say the first thing is find a great publisher like I did with Liz Hill, somebody who's there to either mentor you as an author if you're writing your own book, or who just has a system in place to help you get published. I think that's really important, to collaborate. The second I would say is be authentic. Tell your story. We each have a story, even if it's what evolved out of the last few months in COVID, that your story will resonate. I've heard this so many times in other places before this year, that you have challenges in your life, you survive things, and that's your story, and other people want to hear it because they've been through similar. So that's what I did, was I told my story, and wasn't trying to come up with a fancy way to say things, but really just wrote the words of who I am and what I experienced. And then the last thing I would say, last advice, of course, is to do self-care. And what
That's
I mean
right.
by that is make sure you're taking time every day for yourself. So yes, writing is sort of a task. For some people, that's self-care. But for me, it wasn't really natural. It wasn't my always go-to. Journaling isn't always my thing. But what I would find is I would go outside when I wanted to write, or whether it was that speech or information for the book, I would go outside. I would be in nature. I would take a walk, and I would come outside and sit down and just try to write free flow. And that made a difference. Doing my self-care, then I could get to have the energy to do what I needed to do for the book.
That's such an interesting distinction too, because for me, writing is self-care, right? It's part of my checklist that I do every day to go, okay, this is what I need, like to do my journaling first thing. And it's not that for everyone. So that's an interesting distinction that shows that how it's unique for every person, and to show
Yep.
what you need to do if it's not one of your self-care, to prepare yourself to be in that space. So thank you for
And it
sharing.
also, self-care can change. What works for you now, whether it may not work or just needs to be shifted and evolved. So for me, I now actually am doing a book exercise called The Lotus and the Lily, which every day is a chapter and an exercise in journaling. So I am doing that for my self-care, but it's to bring out the inner wisdom in me and connect to my divine. So now I'm in a phase of starting to write every day.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it can change and shift, right? That's so interesting. I could literally talk to you all day, and I'm going to stop. But thank you so much for talking and with me and taking the time. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you, or to learn more about your work or your writing, all of it?
Thanks for offering that. And I could stay here all day too, but if people want to connect with me, I am very active on Facebook. I actually have a Facebook group called Kristi's SelfCare Tribe that folks can join, and I put out daily motivation and inspiration for self-care. I also, through that, have information about my membership platform and yoga classes I teach. On the website, my website, I also list that information, and that's kristisselfcare.com. And I am a little bit active on Instagram, so you can find me there as Kristi H. Sullivan.
Perfect. Thank you, Kristi. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.